Good afternoon. Welcome to the board meeting for the Murray City School District. To begin, I would like to read this statement. This meeting of the Murray City School District Board of Education is being held at the Murray City School District office. Due to concerns of health and safety around COVID, only those on the agenda are in attendance in person. The public may participate in this meeting live via our YouTube channel. A link to the YouTube channel for this meeting is included in the meeting agenda, which can be found on our webpage at murrayschools.org under the Board of Education link. As posted on the agenda for this meeting, public comments could be emailed to info@murrayschools.org until 5:00 p.m. All public comments will be read by Doug Perry, who is over communications and public information at the district office. The board welcomes public comments. The purpose of public comments is for the public to inform the board about their views. The board does not enter into dialogue on public comments. To begin, we would like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we are having one of the students at McMillan, Chloe, come and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chloe, before you go back, would you come back up for just a second? Would you introduce your full name, what grade you're in, and your favorite course, your favorite subject that you have in school?
My name is Chloe Cottle. I'm in 6th grade, and my favorite subject is math.
Awesome. Hey, thank you very much. I'd like to proceed with the next item, which is recognitions. Kelly, I believe you have this one.
Thank you. I am here because we would like to recognize some special parents in our family. And I first want to tell you a little bit about what this is that they received. The Council for Exceptional Children is the professional organization for educators, both those that teach in the classroom, those that teach at universities, and so on. It's the largest international professional organization dedicated to improving the educational success of children and youth with disabilities and/or gifts and talents. They advocate for appropriate government policies, sets professional standards, provide professional development, and help professionals obtain conditions and resources necessary for effective professional practice. CEC is known as the source for information, resources, and professional development for special educators. Their mission is, again, to be a professional association for educators dedicated to advancing the success of children with exceptionalities, and they accomplish their mission through advocacy, standards, and professional development. The Utah Council for Exceptional Children is a state unit under the International Council for Exceptional Children. Their mission is that they are a network of Utah professionals, families, and community members advancing the welfare and education of children and youth with exceptionalities through professional development, political advocacy, and collaboration. And their key focus recently has been professional development, political advocacy, and collaboration. They do professional awards every year. And we, of course, because of COVID, we were not able to give our awards until we felt it more safe. So we actually are about a year behind, not quite a year behind. So we recently did our awards for the 2020 Utah Council for Exceptional Children Awards. And Chris and Keisha Cox were awarded the Parents of the Year. And the nominations come from all over the state of Utah. And this award goes to the parents of a student who receives special education services. Some of the key things that they would like the nominee to have is that they're actively involved in programs and or services provided to their own child. Excuse me, advocates for or provide services to other exceptional persons. They've made a substantial impact on service or education for exceptional children. They've demonstrated continued interest in the field of special education. Chris and Keisha Cox from Murray School District, Murray, Utah, won the 2020 Utah CEC Parents of the Year. They were awarded from the Utah Council for Exceptional Children through a Zoom award on March 12th. Hillcrest Junior High honored them with a reception for their family and close friends and teachers on February 16th. And the Utah Council for Exceptional Children president-elect was able to actually present their award in person. Here's a little bit about what their nomination said. Chris and Keisha Cox are outstanding parents to 7 children, 3 of which have Down syndrome. Chris and Keisha are very involved with the education of their children as well as their social and emotional well-being. They advocate for their students' education and inclusion. They involve their children in activities that typically developing children are in because they know their children are as capable as anyone else. They're involved in the entire IEP process and make suggestions and ask questions. Chris and Keisha regularly communicate with their children's teachers and are always willing to support them during difficult circumstances and provide teachers with suggestions about how to improve the situation. They are all around great parents, and it's a pleasure to have their students in our classroom. I wanted to add that Chris and Keisha are highly involved in supporting all of their children in school and in extracurricular activities, as well as supporting other students and families. For example, I know that they have been team parents for the Spartonians for the last 5 years, and Chris recently helped build all the props for the drill team routines. Keisha is also a huge advocate for Down syndrome, adoption of orphans in Ukraine who have Down syndrome. The Cox's stories have been featured on the news. She also advocates for the unique needs of rare type identical twins, parenting 7 children with all different needs. And she does this through her blogs, her Instagram account, where she has nearly 35,000 followers, and committees and support groups that she's active in. So congratulations to Chris and Keisha Cox.
We are honored. We had no idea we were even nominated for this award. Thanks to all the amazing paras and teachers. Murray School District has been a great place to be for our kids with special needs, and we're forever grateful for that. And even when we run into problems or things that aren't lining up with inclusion, we always have people that we can find in the school district and in the schools that will listen and help us navigate that. And it's ever changing with our 3 kids, and they all have very different needs. And so each year often looks different, and we're just very grateful for the support of the Murray School District as a whole, and the teachers and paras, and Kelly has been wonderful as well all these years. So we appreciate it, and we're humbled and grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate your engagement with your children and with the district and all that you've done for the schools that you're participating in. It's a fabulous example that community parent interaction with the district. So thank you. Next, we have the consent agenda. We have a motion for the consent agenda. Closer.
Consent agenda, please.
Move that we approve the consent agenda. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda. I have a second.
I'll second.
And we have a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next, we have our delegations. And we'll start with the PTA from McMillan Elementary and Jen. And also Jeanette. I think both of you are.
Thank you. I'm going to invite the McMillan PTA President, Jenna Werda, to come up, the McMillan Principal, Hannah Delata, as well as a wonderful award winner, Shelley Warren. She'd come up, and then also I'm welcoming a member of the Utah PTA Board, the award specialist, who is here tonight to help us honor a Utah PTA award winner. Again, that we were thrilled. So we are presenting this to Shelley. I wanted to just share a couple of the sentences from the nomination that was submitted on behalf of Shelley. She is a winner of the Utah PTA Outstanding Support Staff Award. She has worked for the Murray City School District for 25 years and has worked as the playground coordinator, a teacher's aide, substitute teacher, and Title I reading and math teacher. She's currently teaching the 95% reading program, is a math coach on Zoom, and is a substitute teacher. She's greatly and highly respected among her colleagues and among her students. Parents said many, many kind and wonderful things about Shelley. And one of them said, Shelley has been a great influence and friend to my children at McMillan Elementary. This year, Shelley was a substitute kindergarten teacher for the first several weeks of the school year. It seemed that she knew all the students' names by the first day. No small feat when the kids were all in masks. She set clear expectations for the kids about behavior and work and kept to a strong schedule that helped the kids adapt to school life quickly. My son was a bit shy, and she went out of her way to introduce him to other classmates and make sure that he was participating. Shelley sincerely cares about each child at McMillan and values their smiles and their success. Her coworkers also just have so many kind things to share about Shelley. They say Shelley is a trusted professional at our school. I've gone to her many times with questions or concerns, and she always responds quickly and with a willingness to help in any situation. Shelley's also a very good advocate and a loving advocate for PTA. She's a wealth of information and has a great memory of activities and programs that have worked very well at McMillan. The PTA Reflections Coordinator often runs her ideas for assemblies by Shelley, and Shelley's also helped and given wonderful ideas for class parties and STEM night projects. If there's a nominee deserving of the Utah PTA Outstanding Support Staff, it is Shelley Warren. So on behalf of the Region PTA and the State PTA, I'm going to turn it over to Debbie Jacobs to present the final award to her, but congratulations, Shelley.
Thank you. It's my honor to represent the state of Utah through our awards program. I have the honor of getting close to 100 awards presented to me to send out to my judges and to decide who are the winners. And it's a huge task. We have some amazing things going on in our state, and it's just such an honor to be able to read applications such as Shelley's and be able to see what is going on in the schools and with our children, and I am so grateful for it. I have the privilege of reading these and that people take the time to write them up and recognize the things that are going on. So I'd just like to tell Shelley congratulations, and what a privilege it is to get to know her through reading her application and seeing what wonderful things that she's been doing. Thank you. And on behalf of Mountain America, Utah PTA and Mountain America has partnered together, and Mountain America has donated $100 gift cards to all of our winners. So we'll be presenting Shelley with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shelley, for all you do.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank Superintendent Covington, Assistant Superintendent Bushnell, Murray Board of Education, and the Hollywood Foreign Press for this distinct honor to speak to you this evening. My name is Jenna Borda. I am a mom, lifelong Murray resident, and PTA president to the best school in Murray District, McMillan Elementary. This is my first year serving as PTA president, and I truly have enjoyed every minute. While this year has been challenging for teachers, staff, students, and our community, McMillan PTA rose to the challenge and achieved our goal to make this year fun. We knew that going back to school would be hard on the teachers and staff, so McMillan PTA stepped up our game and showed the love. We provided the entire staff lunch for surviving the first week of school, delivered meals for parent-teacher conferences, and gave every teacher a warm pair of socks, candy, popcorn, and a movie rental to help them relax during their holiday break. We created a treat trolley, a cart filled with treats and drinks that we surprised the staff with at random for quick pick-me-ups on our 1-year anniversary of COVID. Jamba Juice smoothies were delivered to the entire staff. Who knew we'd be such trendsetters in closing first? We will spoil our teachers for an entire week during our upcoming Teacher Appreciation Week and send them off into their summer break with a nice summer treat. McMillan has tried to keep the school year as normal for students as well. We continue to participate in the STEM Fair, Reflections, Spelling Bee, Red Ribbon Week, Patriotic Zoom Assembly, Diversity Week, Parents and Pastries, Spirits Night, and the Scholastic Book Fair. Holidays looked a little different this year, but we still celebrated. On Halloween, we did a school-wide pumpkin carving contest and winners received a prize. We gave every student a hot cocoa packet and a candy cane to warm up their winter holidays. I dressed as Frosty the Snowman to welcome the students back from a winter break. The PTA provided an entire Valentine's Day party in a box for every class. The party included a craft, game, and treats for each student. We've celebrated each student's birthday by providing each student with a birthday surprise. McMillan PTA has held Fundraiser Fridays each month. Students can participate in Fundraiser Friday by donating $1 to the school. Fundraiser activities have included wear pajamas to school, Crazy Sock Day, Crazy Hair Day, Wear a Hat to School, Superhero Day, What I Want to Be When I Grow Up, and Sports Team Day. Yesterday, we finished off our March Madness fundraiser, which ended with more than 15 staff members and Board of Education members taking a pie to the face. Each student who brought $1 was entered into a drawing to have the opportunity to have their name drawn to throw a pie. Students really amped up their donations for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We raised almost $1,000 in just 4 short days. We will finish off the school year by holding our Fit Fun Run and the most anticipated event of the year, Field Day. One thing I have learned this year is our kids are resilient. They left the 2019-2020 school year thinking they were getting a longer spring break, survived not seeing their friends, managed keeping up with their schoolwork via Chromebook, returned to school socially distanced and wearing masks, and learned that recess may no longer be their favorite subject by playing in zones. I hope they can look back on this time in their lives and realize they can do hard things. Our PTA didn't want to leave out our McMillan community. We held a food and household essentials drive. We collected essential items for an entire week that we were able to provide for our hardest hit McMillan families. Essential items included food, cleaning supplies, hygiene kits, diapers, and much, much more. We even had Mr. Bushnell join in the fun by collecting items one afternoon. Our PTA teamed up with our McMillan families and to provide breakfast kits for over 25 families for our holiday season, along with gift cards to Walmart, Target, Costco, and Amazon. McMillan PTA committee chairs went above and beyond this year. We had members help clean the lunchroom and playground equipment every day. We had them volunteer at recess during all 4 seasons of Utah's crazy weather, ensuring students stayed socially distant and in their zones. Committee chairs have even helped guiding traffic during our student drop-off and pickup. And if you've ever been to our parking lot, you know what a task that is. I certainly didn't think that my first year serving as PTA president would be during a pandemic. But I'm so grateful to the McMillan staff, parents, students, and community for allowing me to serve. I'm truly looking forward to serving and seeing what the upcoming school year has in store. Thank you again for everyone to giving me the opportunity to show you what an amazing school McMillan Elementary is. Thank you again.
Thank you. We know that this year has been an even more challenging year for our PTA programs, and so you guys are more than engaged and stretched yourselves to help us and our students. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you again. It's been awesome.
Okay, MEA, Christy Bike.
Like I should be here for McMillan. I'm like a proud mom back there. I'm like, I can vouch for Shelley. She's worked firsthand in my classroom and has taught me so much. And Jen, I think the PTA needs to be frontline news as the frontline workers. Truly, we're a broken record when we say thank you, but it would have been an impossible year without the help of our parents and our PTA. But taking my McMillan hat off and putting my teacher rep hat on, we want to extend our thanks to the board. Again, putting that record on repeat, that we sincerely thank you as teachers in Murray District for the support that you have given us in following new legislation and new rules and communicating to us the standards and the expectations. We want to reiterate, as there is a change coming up with the mask mandate, we wanted to voice our support of that ruling continuing with the schools and requiring the students, teachers, staff, and all those in the building to be wearing masks and to continue that through the end of the school year. I know it's been all over the news, and we've talked as an association that we're grateful that it's not your decision. You can't backpedal it. We can't backpedal it. Superintendent can't. So we just wanted to emphasize that we support that, and as teachers, we will continue to support and enforce that. We also, as teachers, want to express our gratitude to superintendent and the whole district office staff. Like the PTA, you guys might be behind us, but you're really the front line. So we appreciate that, and superintendent for your timely communications and helping us through this year. So thank you from the association.
Thank you. Massa, I don't know if I see Jill, or is there any other? Okay. We know that Mesco was asked to be excused. Is Jean from the foundation over there? Great.
Just a little handout.
Okay, I'll turn it on.
Yeah, amazing how that comes around. It is kind of crazy how it comes around. I know. I feel like we just did this. Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
very first, we still have another Pinnacle coming up. So that will be on May 6th. And we have had some pretty good donations come in for it, which I'm in awe of. And I think we have some really good supporters from Murray District, and I think they love us or they wouldn't be doing this. So I think it's been eye-opening for me to see these people step up and do this in a COVID year, needless to say. Then I wanted to let you know, put on your calendar, Friday, August 27th. We're hoping to be back in the park doing our luncheon, doing it back somewhat normal, and, you know, time will tell, needless to say. We don't want to say the B word and have take over. So we're hoping that it will continue and we'll have a great golf tournament. We had a great golf tournament last year. I mean, we've never had so many sponsors. So, you know, everybody wanted to get outside, and I'm sure I've already had people contacting me before in the last couple of months saying, you know, when's the golf tournament? Let's get it on our calendar. We don't want to, you know, miss it. It's awesome. So anyway, we'll continue with that. The next thing I kind of wanted to let you know is that, as you remember, last year we got a DI grant for $7,000 that went out to all of our schools. And I just received an email the other day that we have received an additional one, and that's for $10,000. So we have that we can help out the school needs with, and we'll have a meeting on Tuesday and see how we're going to get that out. And we'll go from there on that. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support of the board, and we hope to see you in May at Pinnacle, but we don't know if that'll be the case. Yeah. Anyway, you know, everything's variable these days. So anyway, but we do continue to appreciate the support you give us, even if it's virtually, right? And the last Pinnacle worked out really well. Hopefully you were able to zoom into that, and our sponsors were awesome. They showed up to give the awards away, and it was really a nice evening, even if it was virtual. I think it turned out to be really nice. So, and we appreciate all the help with that. So anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you. Doug, do we have any patron statements?
We do not have any patron statements.
Okay. With that, then we will move to the report of the board. We'll start on the left here with Cami. Do you have anything to report?
The only thing I was kind of excited to see people in the building with us. I was like, hey, so feels good to start to see some normalcy return. And I started to get a few questions about what the school year looks like for next year. So I know the district is working on that, but I think parents are already starting to look as to, you know, what the schedule looks like, what does it look like. So I just told them that is worth coming sooner than later. But I think everybody's looking forward to next year as maybe a more return to a new normal for us. So that's all.
Thank you. Cool.
Well, as I was driving over here, I was just thinking about the district office people. And Scott has spent a ton of time about books in school. And Robin and Missy, Doug, Dave, Kelly, Darren, Rich, Superintendent. This district is amazing. And we realize that always. And I just appreciate every single person that helps all of our students, our parents, our teachers, custodians, bus drivers, cafeteria. We are a team together, and that's why Murray is the best district in the state. That's according to me.
Opinion. Elizabeth.
My head is still in the spring break mode, so nothing else really going on, and Hope everyone had a nice, relaxing holiday and was able to get a little bit of a break.
Linda?
Okay, so a couple of secondary things, just to kind of second what Cammie said. I was at the high school yesterday for the MVP breakfast, and it's starting to feel like the high school again. Like at the beginning of the year, it was so quiet, and I felt like there was that buzz that's a high school, and I loved hearing the kids chatter, and it was decorated for prom, and it just made me happy to see that. Kids doing kids. As far as Activities Association, we looked at 3 sports to sanction for the next 2 years. Esports and boys volleyball was put on hold still. They'll have to reapply if they meet the criteria next year. But competition cheer will be sanctioned for the next year. Cheer is an interesting thing because cheer has been something we're in charge of, but has not been under the umbrella of catastrophic insurance and UHSAA rules and protocols. So the principals said, hey, we're doing all the work, but we have none of the reinforcement that comes from being part of the association. And so that was felt strongly. It will be a sanctioned sport next year, but the state competitions won't be officially under the state umbrella for 2 years. So they can get all on board with the rules they want. And it's a pretty strong association they have outside of the high schools. They've got to just blend those two. As part of my assignment to be on the esports committee for that decision, I've been in contact and been asked to be trained for coach success through the Garth group, and to look at Murray having a connection with, they have $1.6 million in scholarships. They are ready to give out. And so I'm going to get trained up. Did any of you guys do Road to Success? Like back in the day? Things have changed a lot since Road to Success days. And so I'm going to get up to speed, and then I'll come to the district and we will see if we can get on board with that as a district. So it's esports, but esports has a huge amount of scholarships I've learned, but also it also leads into the coding and the jobs that are found in coding and our CT groups. So be excited.
Thank you. I have nothing to report from any of my committee assignments. We didn't have any meetings other than the Parks and Rec. I was not able to attend this last month, but I would also like to express just my gratitude for the district office and the hard work over the last few months and this whole year with COVID and everything's gone on, and the challenges that presents. I appreciate all your hard work. I know it's been a more than challenging year, and we hope that it's less challenging next year. Next item up on the superintendent contract renewal. I will take a motion to approve the contract renewal for Superintendent Jennifer Covington.
I'll move that we approve the superintendent contract renewal for our superintendent for the next 2 years.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No, thank you, Jen.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
All right, next we have Matt Dugdale.
Assuming I can clip this in the right way, which I didn't. Let's see, hopefully that pulls up. Oh, very good, excellent. Well, board, thank you so much for having me today. I can't believe it's been 2 months since I was here last.
Matt, I'm just going to have you move that mic up just
Oh,
a bit.
yes,
So
absolutely. Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Great, thank you. I am pleased to report on the bond sale that took place, and I'm pleased that back in February, we laid out some plans with Richard to basically maximize the district's savings on the bonds and successfully sell and lock in historically low rates. That was our target. And so I'm pleased with what happened. I wanted to show this slide. This illustrates the process that we've gone through since January, kind of our kickoff and discussions. Really just to illustrate the pain and anguish we put Richard through. This process, having to deal with this bonding stuff.
It's fine.
He has much more important things to do, but this was very successful. His help was certainly vital to the process. I wanted to show this rate, this chart very briefly. This is a depiction of the U.S. Treasury rates, and this rate in blue is the 10-year rate, and I just want you to keep that rate in mind. This is the AAA rated Treasury securities that our national government sells to finance its activities. So keep in mind that 1.72. I'll briefly mention this is where currently our yield curve is in the tax exempt market, so where the district sold its bonds. And I'm pleased to report we're in that very low quadrant. You can see those lines depicting the blue line where we currently are at. And really, as the vertical lines represent where each year, and we look at a yield curve and there's bonds sold in each year on our indexes that, for example, the 1-year rate has been as high as 2.5%. You can see by the vertical line, but today we're at the very low spot of that. So really, the district took advantage of some great interest rates. And these are the final statistics. The funds we sold on March 23rd, the final par amount was just under $4 million. And our true interest cost was 0.973%. And I bring that up because back at the AAA US Treasury rate, 1.72, you borrowed less than that. And granted, your bonds are tax exempt, but to beat out the US Treasury is a great accomplishment. I'm very pleased with the results. We did have several banks bid on the bonds. Bank of New York Mellon came in as our purchaser. And again, we had some good bids. We were pleased with those results. And so at the end of the day, what does the refunding mean for the district? This column on the far right represents the fiscal savings that the district will achieve dollar for dollar, penny for penny, through and including the 2030 fiscal year. That's a total of $254,313. If we take that in today's dollars, the district books those savings as an economic gain. And so that number highlighted is a representation of those cash flows in today's dollars. So a net present value benefit of $243,000, which is a bit higher than we were anticipating and estimating. So that was a great result. As the district's aware, you have a really great bond rating, AA2. You're in that top tier of school districts nationally. When you issue lease revenue bonds, they rate you one level below that just by the nature of lease revenue bonds versus a general obligation bond. The district's 2012 bonds are rated the AA2. These were rated the AA3. And to have a third party look at your finances and your management, they really came. Moody's gave us some great comments. So for example, in their summary, they stated that the district has a strong credit profile, which is supported by a strong financial profile, driven by an experienced and effective management team. And just wanted to again congratulate you. Richard really did a tremendous job through this process, and the superintendent, and congratulations on your renewed contract. Participated in our rating process, and so to have a third party look at your management and give this type of a compliment is really tremendous. They also mentioned your credit strengths, including your ample cash and fund balances, and your long-term liabilities and fixed costs on a moderate level. So the district has not issued more debt than is needed. It's on a moderate level, which is again a compliment to the district. So very successful. Congratulations. Thank you for having me tonight and letting me report. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
I think it's a happy day to see this.
It's a happy day. Absolutely. Absolutely. Great results. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next up, Robin.
Thanks so
I know, both feet, and I'm mostly walking normal. I was just thinking about the contrast between Moody's bond rating report that was just given and my report. We went from rated G to G. And I may turn and look at Mrs. Bowen, who was a part of our committee and actually was there for the entire meeting. So, Jenna, if you have anything you want to add, please feel free to join me. I tried to wrestle her into giving the report, even told her that, reminded her that she had volunteered to give that, but she was too clear in her understanding of her role as a parent on the committee. I am really very pleased to report that this year we had more participation than I've had before. And those numbers are our school nurse, or excuse me, our district nurse, 3 administrators, 5 teachers, and 11 parents. And we did have representation from all of our secondary schools, as well as 4 of the 7 elementary schools. And the question comes up about how we invite people or include people. We did include people that have been a part of the committee in the past, and many of them have had their children go through our school system. So some of the parents who joined us, their first time on the committee was when they had children in the maturation program. And I actually had 2 of the parents who had aged out. Their kids were seniors this year and they asked to be replaced. So in addition to that, I reached out to the PTA presidency and asked if they wanted to nominate somebody or if they wanted to participate. And very pleased to report that we had 11 parents who participated in the meeting. We also had representation from each of our schools, and I shared all of the information, even if we had parents who couldn't participate or be on the Zoom meeting with us. So with the report and the review, we do go through some things by statute and other things to look at new policies or new curriculum. And we went right up to the wire thinking that we would have some new legislation that we needed to address, and then that was voted down. So this year we did not have anything new from our legislature. We are in a year that we needed to review the health department data for our area, which is not broken out by the Murray area or Murray High School or our students. It's simply for Salt Lake County that we reviewed the data. We also needed to talk about the legislation from last year, which we've called Fight the New Drug, and that is the addition of curriculum that addresses pornography and the addictions and harmful effects of that. So we asked for a report from our assistant principals on discipline and data that they had related to sex-based offenses and as well as pornography. And it was pretty minimal, although the principals did share that they were very concerned, not from a discipline standpoint, but from families who've been reaching out to them about issues that they're encountering in their home. And from that conversation, what we discussed as a committee was the idea about some of the parent workshops or even tips and tricks. One of them mentioned that you do an educator update each week with the teachers, and they wondered if we couldn't put more information out to parents to either talk to them about new places that students might be socially engaging in inappropriate or pornographic information. We actually talked about some of the websites that we had never heard about and some of the things that they were accessing. So again, just that idea of sharing information. Additionally, there were questions that were discussed about what can a parent do? And when your student is in 5th grade, that is a very different conversation than when you were talking with a 17 or 18-year-old child in your home. So again, just that idea of could we have some experts providing like a psychiatrist or a family social worker who could provide some tips and tricks and ideas to help our families. We also talked as a committee about what the laws are that relate to Utah and to our teachers as they teach sex ed in our health curriculum. So with that being said, we have 3
areas that we needed to address new curriculum or revisions to curriculum. And those included Mrs. Humphreys, who teaches at the high school, our boys and girls maturation program. We did some updates to the slides, and both of those were approved without much conversation or question at all. And then the place that we spent the majority of our conversations were centered on the 7th grade curriculum that was proposed by Mrs. Elder. And she in particular had a slide and a couple of slides that she wanted to add. And if you'll go to the mid slides for me, if you can get that one big enough. There was quite a bit there that came directly from curriculum that has been shared that we wanted to talk about both as educators and as parents. And I think it was a really healthy, maybe eye-opening conversation to discuss, do we want to say that to our 7th graders? And then to hear the teacher's perspective about many of these things they are sharing with either asking the teacher or they're saying it to each other, except for it's inaccurate. So that idea being, if you have the teachers who are addressing the myths, they're giving that same messaging, hopefully, that the parents are giving, and they're addressing the mistakes or the misnomers that they might have as they go forward into the world. One of the suggestions by a teacher was that they want to do a Google Doc to share with parents so the parents see all of the questions they get asked as teachers. And as they shared some of those, everybody was pretty embarrassed. And one of our teachers said, but those are the questions your kids are asking. And hallelujah, that we get to answer those as an adult versus where they typically ask those questions, which is kid to kid. So again, this slide is now updated. We changed some things because of what was considered age appropriate. There was one question that was, one myth that was discussed that actually mentioned Dr. Pepper, which was a myth that is out there, but we felt like we didn't want to give credence to the rumor, if you will, so we changed that to be, and I'm having a hard time seeing that one. And Jeanette, maybe you can help me on this one.
I think it's the last one.
Okay, so the last one that just says if you shower or bathe immediately after sex is how we worded that one, and we took out the idea about Dr. Pepper serving as a way to not get pregnant. Thank you, Jeanette.
Yeah, no problem.
At the tail end of our meeting, we did have open question and answer, and I provided a summary for you to see some of the things that we discussed. Again, I felt it was very beneficial to be able to have parents express their concerns or things that they had heard out in the community or that they just wondered about as parents. There was quite a bit of the discussion centered, even though it's summarized into 3 sentences. One of the big takeaways that I think happened there is that each of our teachers who participated talked about their parent notification, and not only in the terms of the permission form that gets sent ahead of time, but the communication that they are having with parents at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the term, and then as they lead into those topics that are being covered. And one of our teachers reminded parents the idea of being a Canvas parent observer actually gives you access to all of that curriculum that your students are encountering, and felt like that was extremely, like there's not really a way to be more transparent than to give parents that opportunity to see that curriculum. That also gives the opportunity for the parent to know, okay, this is the week that we're going to have those dinner conversations that we can follow up and find out what we learned and what was talked about, and then share our own concerns or values.
I actually have a comment on the parent notification, and I don't think this really deals with this specifically, but being a parent of 4, there's no physical way I could read every Canvas parent notification that came my way. I would I mean, it's probably realistically 20 to 30 a day. Because if you're a parent observer, every time an assignment is graded, every time an assignment is added, every time an assignment is changed. And I'm only an observer on 2 of my 4 kids.
So you know what, you've just given me the perfect parent update because you can choose the classes. So you would still have access to all of those classes, but what you just described to me, we also had a principal that had not known that he could turn those off, and he was getting it for his entire school. And came and just said, Uncle, I have like 15,000 emails that just came yesterday. So it will, that I will promise you that we will send out a parent update, because then what you can do is you choose which notifications you want, and you can choose which classes you want to be notified on, because you may not care at all about class Z, but you may care very much about the curriculum in the health class.
One of my concerns is though that this being really important for parents to be aware of is gets hidden in some of that information.
Yeah, is there a way like?
And I don't know.
Yeah, and I know, I mean, like, honestly, with listening to our teachers talk about this, they are also using Parent Square, and they're asking for a permission form and reminding of that permission form. I think that beyond that tips and tricks to say, don't get all of the notifications, I would highlight that a health class, when you know that it's the health class, you're just not going to be needing to get that from your math teacher, probably, correct?
Well, and I have a daughter in the 7th grade, and I just, as I was sitting here going, I know I signed that notification, but I don't know when the curriculum is going on. And I feel like I'm a pretty involved parent. So I worry about how the best way to communicate, like this module or section is starting today or this week.
And one of the things that teachers pushed back on is that they did not feel it was fair to say notifications every day. They did say that they're notifying parents when they're going into that unit. So when the module 5 happens, that they are notifying parents of that.
I feel like that's kind of a learning curve we're at with our like Canvas and our so much stuff online that we're like trying to figure out. You guys are getting bombarded. I think that's a learning curve right there. Not even just in this area, but like how do you?
That's what I'm saying.
How do you triage all the stuff you guys are getting from all your classes? And on one side we want to give, and the other side parents are going.
Well, I'm worried about some of the stuff getting lost, the real important stuff, because I'm like, oh, this one, I mean, I missed one about graduation. You know, I was like, oh, I'm graduated, it's fine. But, you know, I just worry, and maybe, I don't want extra work for our teachers, absolutely not. But how can we come up with a better communication strategy that's really stuff that's like, real critical that the parents are aware of does not get lost. So that's just a thought.
Kind of a prioritization of, so we
Yeah.
look at it and say, oh, this is the code.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's something that we can do.
And I don't know where, like, I could predict just based on having a teenage daughter. Again, I think health would be one of those, but what I might worry about or want to look at might be very different than what Belinda's worrying about.
So I'll give you an example. I deleted all of my emails before. I have 4 more from Parent Square since 5 o'clock.
And
I mean, that's just, and I'm just saying, I worry that we're not getting this information out to our parents where it's critical.
That's it's almost like some things need to be flagged, but then how do we decide?
And I don't think I'm alone in this communication either. I mean, I'm sure other parents kind of feel the same. So,
and I don't think it's going away because now parents are used to having all this communication. It's not like non-COVID year, we're gonna go backwards and be like, well, now we're not gonna send it.
Just shut it off.
Yeah, like,
I'm just maybe wondering if we could come up with some kind of strategy some kind of communication strategy to make sure that it's not lost to our parents. So, sorry to get off track, because that's really not necessarily with this, but it kind of does go along with this.
This is a good example.
So there's a way in Parent Square to mark an alert urgent. There's also a way to pin a message so that it's always at the top of the teacher's message board, so that, you know, they're posting things, that one message stays at the top so that it's always there. Now, everything can become white noise, right?
Right.
Like you can ignore a lot of things, and we can't control that as a board, right? We can't control what people listen to or don't, but those are a couple of things. Like, we can push out to teachers how to create urgent alerts, and we can push out to teachers how to pin posts.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, is like, how do we just make sure that the urgent stuff, we still want to communicate everything, but we need to maybe say, you really need to look at this one type of situation. So, just my thought.
Do you know how close when you, did you get notification again that they were starting the unit? Or they, you know, they may not have even started it yet because the 7th grade teachers said it was coming.
Yeah, if I did, I missed it, and that's not,
Okay.
it's not the teacher's problem, it's probably mine.
That would be an interesting one, because when they explained it to us as a committee, it was when they are getting ready to go into that, they remind parents that that's coming up.
Well, and I know we've all signed the disclosure, and so it's not that we're not, but I want to know when that's taught so that I can have those conversations with my daughter or my child. And so how can we make sure that that's better communicated? And I don't know that it's our responsibility, maybe just trying to figure out a better communication strategy.
And again, they said that at the beginning of that unit, so I'm not talking the beginning of the term. I am saying that when that particular module, which they refer to as module 5, that they notify parents, so they're going to start that module or that unit. So I mean, my perception of that conversation was they're getting pretty close to the timing of that, to just say, this is it, we're going to get going on it.
Thanks, Robin. Sorry to talk track.
Mrs. Bowman, did you have anything that I forgot that you'd want to share?
No, the only other maybe helpful piece with the communication, I had shared that, Doug has done a great job of adding things to our school district site. Under the Parents and PTA tab, we have some information about like suicide prevention, where that is such a key piece for parents, and the possibility of maybe putting some of the curriculum there, and then we can be a little bit more vigilant in look at the website. There's the curriculum, or there's the information, and then some notification when those things are discussed. That was one other piece that we talked about, is using a piece that we already have in our school district that we are trying to, empower parents by putting that type of information. So that was the only other additional thing that I did left. So.
And with that, Robin, you had mentioned to me that you were going to have everybody be able to look at that curriculum before they even came to this meeting. I loved that idea, that everybody could put eyes on it. So same thing, if you want to put eyes on it as a parent, that's where we could send you.
It's there, and it's always in the same place.
Yeah.
And we did have 2 parents who reviewed the agenda and then reached out. One I talked with by phone, and one who emailed. And her concerns were the one parent's concerns were represented.
Yeah, I just thought that was a great way to everybody get not even on the same page, come into a committee prepared, and maybe we should all be doing that for a lot of different things.
Robin, on the enclosures that were attached to us, there's the voice maturation and the new maturation. Are those the actual slides?
They are.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was it.
Yeah.
I love the first ones where they talk about it's okay to giggle.
They really, when it was shared, it's really just updating most of the photos to make it look like it's 2021 was really their biggest change. They actually did change some verbiage to match the law, and they also wanted it to be gender neutral, and there were a couple of other points where they were like, it's pretty antiquated language that had been used. And this one is not one that you vote on. This is just informational to let you know that our committee, I did include in there that you can see how they voted on each of the proposed curriculums. And it was unanimous on all three.
I love that you had such representation, so that is great.
We actually, I have made it very rated G. Mrs. Bowen probably will tell you that we had some pretty funny, very direct, and I wouldn't even say funny, but just very direct ideas that we talked about relative to the law and relative to beliefs. And again, I think built a lot of understanding and commitment to the curriculum.
Thank you.
Robin, I have one question. How many parents have asked that their child not be in a health class?
You know, I don't know the answer to that other than just surface. The teachers talked about the fact that there are very few who are opted out when that happens. But it does sound like each time there are at least one or two.
Okay, thank you. Scott?
And this part of the meeting, we're here to consider the second reading for the Literature and Text Selection and Review Policy. It's IN 304. And just a quick reminder that in that policy begins with definition. You can see the definitions there. And Roman numeral in section Roman numeral 1, it's the primary instructional materials are considered under the textbook umbrella. Roman numeral number 2, primary instructional materials that are non-textbook. Roman numeral number 3, supplemental instructional materials. And number 4, independent reading. And then we have the standards by which each of those will be followed. Roman numeral 5 is the review process for primary instructional textbook and non-textbook material. Roman numeral 6 is the review process for supplemental instructional material. 7 is the section on parent guardian rights. And then I realized that we had not made the correction where we took out Roman numeral 8 from the previous. So Roman numeral 9 will become Roman numeral number 8. And that will be the reconsideration of materials procedure. So are there any questions as we go into a second reading on IN 304?
I know in the past you kind of had felt that it wasn't ready. Where do you feel that it's at now?
I feel that we're in a much better position than we were when we started on this, and we continue to come back to you with first readings until we felt like we were landing on things. We tried to listen, tried to understand, tried to look at other districts' policies, and we tried to find something that would meet what the expectations would be for our students here in the Murray School District. I'm not going to say that as we go through the process, there may be things that come up, and we'll be right back here with you discussing options to make changes should we need to. But we believe this is a good framework and a good start to pursue the intentions of the policy.
So do you feel like it's ready for a vote, or do you feel like there's still some additional work that you want to do before we implement this policy?
Yeah, that's always the great question, Jared. Thanks for asking. I think this is, we'd like to turn this to you and say, you know, this is kind of where we feel the framework should be at this point. Again, I'm going to be very clear that there may be something as we practice the policy, put the policy into practice, that hits us that we didn't realize or didn't anticipate. And at that point, we will very quickly make those adjustments and be back to you. But I think we're willing to give this a shot and see how it works, if you feel comfortable with that.
Okay. Do we feel comfortable? Do we have a motion?
And the motion, should you take one, may want to, just to be clear, make sure that we understand that numbering, that the motion would include an adjustment to that number.
As you outlined.
As I outlined, thank you.
And are we doing both of them at one time or?
This is just for IN 304 at this time.
I move that we approve IN 304 with the adjustment.
Any, so we have got two, both motions, so all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Missy?
So no major changes to this policy as well, other than we did take out the word media policy to distinguish it from the digital components that media might entail and encumber. Librarians do take care of some some media tools, but not digital devices. So just to be clear. So there wasn't a whole lot of updates in this. I did meet with the 3 certified library specialists in our district, and they read through it and they felt really comfortable with what it said, especially when we had kind of the stamp of approval from UELMA Executive Director James, and he actually works in Canyons District, and he had suggested some edits prior to us coming to you in the first reading. And so he felt really good about that, and they felt really good about that. So other than that wording change there, we kept everything mostly the same for the second reading.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Missy on this? If not, I will take a motion to approve.
Yay, for having a library policy in place.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the library policy IN 303.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so passes.
And so those are both done policies.
Yes, yep, we'll get those, we'll start working on the training.
Superintendent.
Thank you. Tonight, I have 2 items of business for the board. The first one, it comes from the Murray Spartonians for overnight trip requests for this current school year that will occur in June. The first request is for a leadership retreat that they would like to attend in Wellsville, Utah, which is outside of Logan. This would just be for 5 to 8 of the Spartonian leaders, and it does take place on June 5th and 6th, which is after the end of school. This did not make it when we approved Claire last year. They weren't sure if they were going to be able to do this, so they hadn't submitted a request. So this is a request for the current school year. Again, for the Spartonians to attend, the Spartonian leaders to attend a overnight activity, their leadership retreat on June 5th and 6th. And in addition to that, they also have another request, which would be for their summer camp. Their summer camp will be taking place on June 11th through June 12th. And this would be overnight. They are doing it here in Murray, but they're doing some overnight activities is my understanding. As a drill mom, we might have some better understanding. But they're actually doing their camp at Hillcrest, it's my understanding, but then they're going to have an overnight component as well, so that they can have that bonding experience. And so they won't be going out of the city for this, but they will be having an overnight activity. So those are brought forth on a first reading. I have let the Spartonians, I did let Ms. Brown, the secretary at Murray know that they typically go through 2 readings. And so we can, if you choose, if you feel good to suspend the rules and approve them tonight, you can. If not, we will bring it back for a second reading in our May meeting. And they are aware that it may be a 2 reading. So I will leave that to you, Board President Cooper, for a decision.
Quick question.
Yes.
Maybe other questions. As far as if we were to potentially approve it, is there any kind of stipulation if there are still protocols in place, that whatever protocols would be in place, they would adhere to?
Correct. They would still need to adhere to those. Absolutely. And so they will need to follow all of the Utah High School Activities Association guidelines that are in place at that time. So yes.
When does our mask mandate for the schools goes till June 15th?
June 15th, correct.
So they would still need to adhere to the mask mandate at these 2 activities?
Correct. Correct.
Have we had any feedback from parents of those that are students in this program?
I have not had any feedback from parents on this. I did not ask that question. I'm happy to ask that question, go back and ask that question if that's.
I would have assumed they would have expressed concern before now.
Yeah, they haven't had real tryouts, so new parents wouldn't really be involved in this. I do know in talking with someone, if the parent does feel comfortable in an overnight, they're free not to attend. So it's not mandatory in any means.
So we approved something similar for the baseball. How did that go?
My understanding is
I know they play well.
They play well, and actually baseball and tennis both went to St. George for tournaments and did well. So as far as like the health and safety protocols, we didn't have an outbreak. No, they did a very good job of that. So
it's a lot to say.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I would be comfortable suspending the rules and letting them play.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't, it goes into May, which could be a little bit more tight for them
So do we need a motion to suspend the rules?
correct, you need a motion to suspend the rules and then.
I move that we suspend the rules.
I have a motion to suspend the rules for
I
this.
second.
Okay, all in favor? All right, do we have a motion to approve the overnight travel request for the Murray High School Spartanians?
I move that we approve the overnight request for Murray Spartanians.
Any discussion?
That's cool.
For both of them, correct?
Yes, for both.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, all right, looks like the motion passes.
Thank you. I will let the Spartanian advisor know. My second item this evening is to bring back the discussion of building rentals. And so in our meeting last month, we talked about perhaps looking at opening up building rentals as early as June. And it was asked if I would go back and kind of see what that would entail. Would that cause some issues in our schools? And so we actually do have someone who is very interested in renting our building in June. It's the Epic Drill Camp, and they have rented our building before, Hillcrest Junior High School. They have very strict COVID protocols that they would follow and will continue to follow. In talking to the Kristen Davis, who runs our building rentals, she feels like we're in a good place to do that. She actually has employees who had been supervisors previously that we had to let go this year because we didn't have anything for them, who have expressed interest in coming back and working in our schools. We do have technicians, we have employees that typically have done this as part of their summer work that can very easily go back and transition into that as far as the building rentals. I will let you know, we opened up our fields for rentals and that's gone really, really well. And we have many community members who have expressed thanks that they are able to access our fields so that they're out there and being able to participate and kind of bring back some of that normalcy. So my request of the board would be to ask for consideration to start building rentals again in June after our students have exited the building. So May 28th is the last day, so as of June 1st. We do feel like we're in a good position to be able to do that. I did reach out to other districts. Most of the other districts around us are doing that now. They have opened up facility rentals. So I will leave that.
Is that a motion again for us to?
It's probably just a motion of support. I don't believe it's not a policy, but a motion of support. If you feel it's so moved to be able to do that.
I will take a motion of support.
I move that we support the building rental beginning June 1st.
I have a motion for that. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other further discussion?
I do have a question.
Yes.
So they will be required to follow our mask mandate till June 15th.
Absolutely.
And then depending on where we are at that point.
Absolutely. We get to tell them what the requirements are, and all of the requirements, we have told them they have to follow the same thing that our Utah High, all of our extracurricular activities have to follow. We've said that.
UHSAA has it's their rules get set out to be able to. So we follow those, they're backed by medical.
And do you know, like, on the High School Athletics Association, are they going to update theirs going forward for next year? Do they have a?
We've done it season by season so far.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And I would be happy, I mean, all the protocols, like I said, I've looked over all the protocols for this particular one, and this would be it's all of the same things we would ask of them.
It's probably going to be more than what we would ask. So as long as they're following the guidelines that were required in our schools, then I'm comfortable with that.
All in favor of showing a little support? All right, thank you.
Thank you. I will keep you updated on kind of how that goes. And then I would like to request Board President Cooper that we go into closed session to discuss personnel and property. And I would request that Assistant Superintendent Bushnell and Director Dean stay for that session as well.
All right, all of the board, Cammy?
Yes.
Close. Linda?
Yes.
Elizabeth? Okay, we will vote to go into closed session after a 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Jeanette, how's wedding planning? Fantastic. You're really close.
If you tell me your secret, I can try to get a few of my daughters out of my house.
Is it your secret? Oh, you got their things. Those are big. You just don't know.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't scare me.